Orange mud. All right. Woo! We're live, Josh.
Sweet. We are flat builds and we are live.
Here we go. You know, I have to say, like, I always try to kind of support some of our Unbound Gravel sponsors.
Yeah.
I don't have any orange mud stuff. We're gonna have to fix that.
I can fix that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm supporting one of them for you, but yeah, we'll do that. I'll get you one.
I appreciate
or 5.
You can. Well, if
Maybe
I get one, the rest of the team is going to want one. That's going to just be the way it goes.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Anyway, here we go. We're live.
I'll make a note.
Thank you for joining us with episode 2 for season 2 of The Dirt. And this week, I'm super excited. We've got Josh Sprague with Orange Mud joining us. Josh, welcome to The Dirt.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to get dirty.
Well, that's appropriate because that's what happens when you do all of the stuff that we like to go out and do for fun. So
it's a
good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah.
Josh,
where are you coming to us from?
Today I'm at my house in Georgetown, Texas. So our headquarters is in Round Rock, just down the street, about 20 minutes away. But for those that don't know, we're geographically challenged. It's Austin, basically.
Nice. Do you get to go listen to some live music? Like that's.
You know what? I do. Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I went to the Randy Rogers Band, for those that are familiar with them. And they've been around for quite some time, probably 20 years. All of a sudden you start realizing like I'm getting older because they're at a very small venue and they used to be extremely popular, and they still are. But anyway, yeah, it was cool. It was an outdoor venue, and here in Austin, it was awesome. And
nice.
Yeah, not as much as I should, but that's what happens when you have an 8 and a 10-year-old. So.
Yeah, and then coming out of COVID, like
that too. Yeah, you do feel like you're at a super spreader event, and you're just kind of crossing your fingers, hoping for the best. But it worked out, and none of us got the bid, so we're still winning. Yeah,
it's outdoors is best. So
yeah,
getting to be out there for the concert, live music, outdoor venue, that's a win.
That's what I'm telling myself. There's UV or fresh air, or I took my boy to the Austin FC game the other day, and there were, I don't know, 30,000 people in the stadium. And like, that's one where you still are like, all right, well, guess we'll see what'll happen. And same thing, nothing happened. So I don't know, who knows? Maybe it's not as bad as we all think, hopefully.
Well, I definitely think being able to be outside makes a big difference. Yeah, makes it better. Well, we've got you on. You've been an Unbound Gravel sponsor. Is this your 3rd year? Is that right?
At least. Yeah, I think it's been longer. And I think we're 5 years in as an exhibitor, and maybe 4 as a sponsor. Nice. I think something like that. Yeah. And I even rode the second Dirty Kansas many moons ago, and then took a break for many years, and then been doing it for the last I think 5 years. So
nice. Well, good. Tell people what Orange Mud is. What do you do at Orange Mud?
So we make hydration packs for endurance cyclists and runners. And we started, it'll be 10 years ago come January. We're getting ready to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. Still need to figure out what we're going to do as an anniversary party, but yeah, we love to get outside and breathe fresh air and explore the wild. And I made my first pack back in January of 2012. And started actually in the running space because I built something specifically for run, and my passion has always been cycling. And we took 4 years or so, I think, before I launched the first hydration pack, which is our endurance pack, and launched it actually at Dirty Kansas Expo.
Nice.
5 or 6 years ago now, I forget. I think it was 6, but it's just taken off ever since. So we have a good time.
Well, good. What you've done, you said you came from the running space first, but then you've been in gravel. What is your history with gravel? Because you've been around for a bit.
Yeah, I've been doing gravel for a long time, and I used to ride the Flint Hills Death Ride before Dirty Kansas was even a thing, and I still remember meeting a guy, this guy Neil, not Neil. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but anyway. From Oklahoma, we kind of became buddies because we did the first death ride together, like 60, 70 miles in. I ran into him, and he was riding this weird bike. I'm like, what are you riding? He's like, it's a gravel bike. I'm like, there's no such thing. That's a road bike. Like stupid. And I, I was riding a Specialized Epic back then, and I rode that Epic 3 years in a row in the death ride, and then took, and I, again, I rode the second year in DK, but I rode the death ride until it ended. And I've always done a ton of mountain bike racing. That's always been my big thing. And then as I kind of watched DK grow, years ago, I was like, man, I got to get a gravel bike, but I'll go ride an Epic. I still had an Epic years later, and go in there, ride the race, and I'm like, man, I need a gravel bike. Like riding a mountain bike in a DK Unbound is unpleasant. And so yeah, I ended up switching to gravel, and I tell you, over the last 5-6 years, I've just been pretty much all gravel and throwing in usually a mountain bike race or two, something of epic nature. It's really exciting, 100-mile fun somewhere. I still do on mountain, but I've been kind of all gravel. It's just been fun. It's to me, it sums up, I think, the best of all sports, between road, mountain biking, and even triathlon or running. When you start to look at them all, with gravel, you're able to explore and look around. And I think that's the biggest problem. Mountain biking or even endurance running, you find yourself looking at the ground so much. And road cycling, you're worried you're going to get killed by a car. So that's where gravel to me is just the best, because I get to go out and explore and just ride. There's no set plan, and you just explore and look around, look at the birds or whatever it is. So
well, and you can see that road off to the right and be like, hey, I'm gonna go check that thing out,
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
it is the cool about those adventure bikes.
Yeah.
The gravel adventure bikes.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely evolved from, what I like about gravel, even the personality of people is different than maybe just pure road cycling, or again, pure mountain biking, where most people are in it for fun. And that's the cool part about the sport. It's not all about racing to win. And so it breeds a really fun group of people, versus just, every sport has the big chunk of us that are just there to beat ourselves. That's it. But
beat ourselves up and beat ourselves.
Yeah, but it's definitely, I think that's the neat part about gravel. The energy of even like the Unbound Expo, for example, is neat, because everybody's excited to just be there and let's go have some fun tomorrow type of thing. So yeah, it's definitely become my go-to sport. And again, whether it's racing or whether it's just riding, I mean, I'm still just as happy going out and riding 200 miles by myself too. So that's the neat part about it.
I do feel like it's like a family reunion most of the time at gravel events. Like we all just get back together to go ride bikes, share some stories, swap some beverages at the end of it, eat some good food, and chat it up. Yeah, so.
Exactly. And sometimes even during the ride, that's all happening. All of the above.
It just depends, like how you're approaching your day, for sure.
There's definitely had those good days where all happened.
You have one, for one, are definitely familiar with the Unbound area.
Yeah, I am.
You grew up not too far from here.
Yeah, I grew up about 30 minutes north, between Paxico and Eskridge, and out off Snoqualmie Road, and yeah, I mean, I grew up on gravel. It was 18 miles of gravel to school and 2 miles on the highway. So gravel roads, honestly, I kind of got tired of them in a way growing up, because I drove on them every day, and tires have gotten better over the years, but all the tire places knew my dad and I by name, because we were always in there getting brand new tires, and they probably didn't like us very well either. I remember Walmart actually stocked tires for both of my dad's trucks, because it wasn't a standard, but they knew we'd be in once a month to get new tires, because we ruined them all the time. But it's just what happens when you live on gravel roads. So
and those gravel roads in particular, I mean, you're up,
and especially those.
Yeah.
You're up. They're getting all that crick gravel, and there's a million nails and shards of everything in the creeks, and then they're just dumping them on the roads, and you're driving on them. So yeah, it's always grim. I mean, it's where it's fascinating, honestly, these little gravel bike tires. When you really, if you take a step back and you look at our bikes, anybody I meet that's not a gravel cyclist, they're like, you ride that on gravel roads? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how many flats do you get? I'm like, not very many, surprisingly. So I mean, I just did Cannonball. That was 500 60 miles and I had one flat, and I started Emporia, made a huge loop. Extreme amount of it was gravel, only a teeny bit was paved, and I had one flat, and it was in the middle of a perfectly good road. I don't even know what it was. It was probably a nail stuck up in the hard pack that just poked a hole in the tire.
That's always what's so frustrating, is when you get those flats on the butter stuff.
Yeah.
You'll navigate all of the chunky, crappy, rocky stuff, thinking for sure this is going to be where it happens. And then you come out and you're this is smooth sailing. And the orange seal starts flying and you're like, no, not here.
I know. It's always something.
Well, obviously there's different hydration packs on the market, but we think Orange Mud does a great job with what you're doing. Can you speak a little bit about why your pack is a little bit different and what sets it apart?
Sure. Yeah. So all of our packs, like when I build our endurance pack, which is one of the most popular packs in gravel that we make, I took a 2-liter bladder, I laid it on the table, I took a pin and I drew around it, and I said, cool, I'm going to start. Actually, I shrunk it up even a little bit more because when it's inflated, it shrinks. And I built a pattern based upon that. And one of the things that sucks about the hydration packs and endurance cycling is heat. I mean, it's hot. Yeah. Dirty Kansas is always hot. I think 1 year that I've done it, it was marginally acceptable. The rest of the time it's hot. So I wanted to make sure we mitigate heat. So we do have a smaller footprint by the way we anchor the bladder in our packs, and by the way I designed them to ensure that we're using the least amount of fabric in a 70-ounce bladder. And we have chest pockets on all of our packs. It's definitely a core piece of everything we've done. And we have shoulder pockets for all your access to nutrition, phone, all the random crap you're going to put in there during a ride. But and then last but not least, aside from being really breathable and built tough and built actually to last, they are conforming to your body and don't move around. So we put a great amount of effort into ensuring whether you're gravel biking or mountain biking, and hitting hard chop in a corner or whatever, that pack's just going to track with you, and it's not going to take away from your race day ride. So I think those are the biggest differences.
Well, and when we were prepping for the show, you talked about that you have 2 or 3 different fail points, safety, so that if something does go wrong, there's a backup system.
Yeah. So like I spent a lot of time adventure racing and done right around 100 adventure races. And one of the things, especially in that sport, is that you're out there and you and your teammates are all working together to get from point A to point B. But if something goes wrong, you can be in grave trouble. So everything that I do in all of our packs, anything that has a risk of failing, we overkill it. And first off, even the feature in itself, it will be properly done to where it should never fail. But just in case, if you're going 100-mile stretch in a bike event where there's no water, or if you're just doing Dirty Kansas and it's only 60 miles from point A to point B, but it seems like it's 200 miles because it's hot, windy, and dusty, the last thing I want is that pack to fail. So I put in redundant failure points in the manufacturing process. It doesn't cost us hardly any extra to do it, but it just provides an extra layer of fail-safe that ensures your pack will hold up again for the test of time. Plus, we have to design around washing machines, which honestly are more hard on anything than humans are. People always tell us, like, we get anytime there's like usually it's like a shock cord or something that's broke. People are like, hey, I don't know what happened to this. And they'll send it in. You can tell it's been like the agitator in the washing machine wrapped around it so tight that it actually stretched fabric that should be almost impossible to stretch with my truck being like be tight between a tree. But the washing machine is like the biggest devil in the world when it comes to hydration packs. So I, if anything, build failure points for the washing machine more than the consumer actually breaking it.
That makes sense. So should we hand wash our hydration packs?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The shower is great. Put your bag inside of a mesh bag and then put it in the hand wash cycle in your washing machine. But honestly, I take mine in the shower a lot and I just rinse it off and just hang it, let it dry out. They dry out real fast. There's nothing in there that holds junk in it. So the shower is a fantastic place, and just use some scent-free detergent and you're good to go.
What about the bladder? What's the best way to clean your bladder?
So the bladder
in your hydration pack, not your personal bladder.
Yeah, that'd be really hard to clean your bladder other than lots of water or post-race beer. yeah, so what I do with hydration bladder, and this is a trick a buddy of mine taught me years ago, and I've always thought it was weird, but it truly works fantastic. Is every time I get back from a ride, and I always run a hydration mix in my bladder. Every time I get back from a ride, I take hot water and I flush out the bladder really well. And I may use soap, but honestly, there's plenty of times I don't even use soap. I just flush hot water really, really well, hold it up like an IV bag, and kind of squeeze it and get all the water that flushes through all the sugary stuff out the bite valve and hose. And then once it's completely empty, I seal it back up and I blow into the bite valve and get the bladder to where it's completely full. And in TPU, it will push that moisture out. It's weird. TPU is the plastic membrane. It is, of course, waterproof. It holds water, but it's a weird deal that happens when you create that air trap. And it's kind of weird blowing your like lung air into there. It seems gross, but what happens is that plastic is not touching itself. So it's not sitting there warm and moist in your house, creating a perfect petri dish for bacteria. And it will dry and it'll be perfect and you won't have any problems. I have bladders that are probably 20 years old. Mine are always flawless.
I've stored mine in the freezer before. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Freezer works great.
I'll
Plenty of
clean
people
them
do that too.
Throw them in the freezer sometimes, but I hadn't thought about that technique. That's interesting.
Yeah. No, it works. It works surprisingly well. And then I just throw them in the cabinet just like that. And when I pull them out, they're bone dry. And again, I don't have stuff growing in mine. The only time I do is usually coming back from dirty cans that are unbound and I'm just tired. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I come back and I'm like, I'll throw that bag in the corner. I'll get to it later. And then, like 2 weeks later, you look at your bladder, you're like, oh. But a little baking soda can always get a
okay, that's what I was going to say. Can you save those?
So yeah. I have this one here. I don't know if you can tell, but it probably didn't show, but it's kind of disgusting.
It's kind of gross, Josh. That looks gross.
Well, I've been saving it we were going to we were going to do a little video post on it because we have people all the time like, I don't know what's wrong with your stupid bladders. Like, it's disgusting after my ride. I'm like, it's because you didn't wash it. You could be mean, but you could just tell the truth and say you didn't wash it. So we're going to make a video of how to clean them, but the short and sweet, you just take some hot water, tablespoon, just a little teeny handful of baking soda, throw in there. And even a little bit of bleach. You can put a little bleach in there too, but a baking soda, hot water, shake it up, let it set for 20-30 minutes, and then go rinse it out, and it'll probably rinse out just fine. And same with the hose, you may have to flush it for a little bit with hot water, but you'll probably be able to get the funk right back out. And bladders, actually, our HydroPack bladders, you can turn them inside out and then just wash them off too. So that's easy. It's always the hose is truly the biggest challenge. But even these bite valves, you can pop these off, and then even that insert in the inside, same thing. You can take them apart, and they all go back together. Yeah, so everybody's always afraid.
So this is I've been riding bikes for 20 years, and this is all new to me. So
I don't know. People are all the time like, whoa, I don't want to cut that hose. I'm like, it's fine. It's hanging down to your waist. Cut the stupid hose. They're like, well, how am I going to know if I'm going to hurt it? I'm like, it's a hose. Just don't cut it too short.
Yeah.
It's
measure twice at once.
It is. I tell people I take a Sharpie with my hydration hose. I put it right here. I take a Sharpie and I mark where I think I want it to cut. And then I'll go for a run and a ride, whatever, however I use my pack. And I'll make sure I'll keep checking. I'm like, yeah, cool. That's where I want it to be. And then I'll take a sharp pair of scissors and cut it. And I'll still cut it a half inch too long, just to be safe, and then stick that bite valve in there, and I'm good. But that's the key. If you take a black Sharpie and you mark on there, then you can just kind of cross check it. Even do it for a dozen rides. Then you can be confident that when you do cut it, that it's done and right. Where I can't tell you how many people cut the hose and they're like, yeah, I should have listened to your instructions. I cut it too short and I need a new one now. So it happens all the time. But if people
just get the hose, right? You don't have to get the hole.
No, yeah. I mean, we order it in and just stock it for user error. But it's awesome. So, yeah.
Okay. So you said something else that I don't do, which I'm curious about because I've always worried about cleaning my bladder. So I'm learning a ton. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
But I typically do my drink mixes in my bottles and just water in my pack.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want that sugary stuff in my pack.
Sure.
Why do you do it the other way?
Because usually, I mean, I run drink mix for everything. So I run drink mix in my bottles and my bladder.
All of it. Okay.
I do it in all of it. I always have. And again, as long as you clean it, as soon as you finish, as long as you clean everything, honestly, even with just, I'm going to say, like, you should use hot soapy water. But that being said,
worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case scenario, hot water does wonders, and you just have to flush it really good. Make sure all that junk's off there. Another problem we see all the time, people are like, "Oh, your bladders, I can't slide the top on them." I'm like, "It's because it's dirty." And they're like, "No, I wash them." I'm like, "It's dirty. Like, actually wash it with the sponge and in the inside the gray slider and on the bladder." Or they'll say, "Hey, this hose isn't snapping in and the product's defective." I'm like, wash it. You wouldn't believe like the salt and sugary crystals that builds up on this stuff. But if you actually wash it really well, it'll actually work fine. And then in lieu of that, if you just don't want to, then take some chapstick and rub it on the insertion point of the hose that goes into the bladder. Take a little chapstick and put it on that O-ring, or put it on the top of your bladder slider, and it'll just go on there like butter. And again, chapstick's food grade, it goes on your lips, right? I mean, you could probably eat it if you wanted to, but it works great as a lubricant that lasts really well, especially when you're doing stuff like dirty cans and you're getting dust and dirt and grime and sugars and salt on there. Unbound, sorry. It's just a habit.
I know it takes a
bit. but if you do that, it fixes a lot of those problems. Because I see people, even in aid stations, I have, my buddies helping me out that know better, and they're like, jamming on the slider. I'm like, first off, a lot of times you're putting it on backwards, but second, I'm like, just wipe it off with a baby wipe, or again, put some chapstick on there. And I try to think of these things ahead of time and just make sure my bladders are perfectly clean before I show up to race. But oddly enough, I often, and being a guy that kind of tries not to waste things, I am often using a bladder that I've had for 15 years still at a race. And I may not always have my newest bladder or something, but yeah, they're really simple things, but it's something that I see, by and large, people do wrong. Or when I volunteer at races and hang out at an aid station, it's just earth shattering to see. I mean, it's an extremely high percentage of people that have problems with whatever their hydration strategy is, the wrong lids, and I know it's tough because like we give out bottles and all these different brands are giving out bottles. So you see people mixing and matching the wrong lids to bottles. And usually if you have a leaky bottle, that's what it is. You got the wrong lid on it. But yeah, it's always
these are great tips.
Yeah. It's called daily emails that teach us these things. That's what it is. So
well, you guys have some new products on the horizon, correct?
Yeah, we have a lot. Yeah, if they can just get here, would be awesome. So yeah, we actually today, I was actually at the office. I went in really early this morning. We're really close to having a new bike frame bag. I probably usually I have a whole sewing lab here too, but my home office. But we're doing a Made in USA frame bag. I called it.
Oh, nice.
I don't have the name of it yet, but I've been calling it my suspension bag. I really need to name it because I plan on getting it live on the website like tomorrow. But it is and if anybody's been to Unbound or some of the other events that I've been to, and you see my bike, I've been using the same design for 2 years now. I've just been refining it, and we basically use elastic. It's a shock cord to hold the top and bottom, so the bag doesn't move at all. It's rock solid. It's really, really cool. I'm really excited about it. And again, I just built it for me initially for doing the Cannonball 550 back there a couple of years ago, and then I started making different iterations of it. But we're doing that, and that's going to be hopefully on the site by end of day tomorrow. So I was trying to get the last touches. I know, I do. Yeah,
there we go.
I don't ever do it until it's like done. And this has been one that I've just been. It's part of one of the challenges of running a small business or two small businesses is that there's just never enough time. And so I'm always working on multiple projects, but so I have multiple, backpacks I'm working on and a waist belt we're working on. And we have new products coming in from overseas. So we have a whole waterproof frame bag. It's about a half frame bag is what it is. Top two bag and seat bag. They're all waterproof, that are going to be here in about 4 weeks. They're in transit here now. 4 weeks to 5 months. You never know with shipping carriers anymore, but it should be 4-ish weeks. And but yeah, there's just a million distractions that are always coming up
Oh,
between
yeah.
global imports and then what we're doing here abroad, or here domestically. But we are excited to be making this frame bag internally, and we have a full sewing setup at our office, and we haven't done a Made in USA run internally for a couple of years. We do have a shop in Missouri that does some work for me on my adventure jacket and my big beast that we do. So we're proud of that. And for the consumers, like, you should make everything in the USA. Like, I get it. Sadly, consumers don't want to pay $300 for a hydration pack. So for those that do, reach out. Hey, I'll build them if you really want to. But sadly, it just doesn't work in today's global market. But we are trying to do things that we can control and we can make in a really efficient manner. And in the frame bag that we designed, I've tried to design it as manufacturing friendly as possible, so we can actually run it here in the States as long as we can. Yeah, it's cool.
I'm excited to hear the name. So you gotta let us know. At least come back on the chat, on the comments section here, and let everybody know the name.
Yeah.
Out. We've got.
If somebody has an idea, let me know.
Yeah, if you guys have ideas, for sure, like, put them in the comment section and give Josh an idea to name his bag. So
yeah, and I'll give whoever, like, if somebody gives a good name, I'll give them a free one. So there's that.
I'm putting my thinking cap on when I'm not excluded from this competition.
I'm ready. No, of course not. Yeah. Yeah, seriously, I am always open to ideas. So yeah, this wouldn't be the first time that I've crowdsourced a name of a product.
It. We did get a question. Somebody asked if they could order just the bite part.
Yeah, we have it on our site. It's like we charge like $4 for it, I think.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
you just search bite valve on our Orange Mud site and you'll find it. Yeah, it's always good to have a spare one. In all reality, I always carry one. Is a guy that I'm just always nervous. But the thing is, usually what happens if you have a leaky bite valve, usually what happens is you have guys, yeah. But what usually happens is dirt or salt that is right here in this like little lip of the valve, and that's what will often cause you. Because a lot of times I'll have people say like, yeah, this valve leaks. I don't understand why. I'm like, well, again, first off, take it off here, like I've talked about. Clean it out with a sponge or a Q-tip works great, and it'll probably be fixed because it's just TPU that's touching against or a silicone that's touching against a hard plastic. So it usually seals up. It's usually there's something there that's causing it to leak. But that being said, it sucks when those things are leaking. So I always carry an extra just in case I lose one, or usually it's somebody, they somehow lost their valve and they don't know how. They got off their bike, they crashed, and maybe when you're crashing, something yanked and all of a sudden that valve flew off into the bushes. So I can't tell you how many times a spare valve has come in handy over the years. So, and again, they're cheap and they weigh nothing. It's like 10 grams. So, for the weight weenies, just spit and all of a sudden 10 grams is set.
You're 10 grams lighter. Spit before you get on your bike. There you go.
Win. Spit twice and put in a bite valve, you're still 10 grams lighter. It's winning.
Okay, we're crushing this, but I want to hear what you've got planned for 2022. Because you go out and do the big stuff. So what are you looking at? Anything in beginning of June sound fancy to you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I was signed up for DK Unbound XL 2 years ago, and then it got canceled. So I deferred this year because I rode my bike like 14 times for the year. And I did the 100-mile, which I've always said I was going to do. Actually, I always threatened to do the 25-mile at Unbound because I thought, man, this would be fun. And the 200 is fun. I've done it 3 years in a row, and then I did 100 this year. But the 100 was great because I was able just to enjoy it, and I helped people along the way. I probably fixed 5 or 6 bikes. I was able just to ride and chat. Or honestly, I ended up riding a lot by myself. I broke a freaking wheel, so it was a little bit of a slow go there for the last 50 miles. But with 2 broken spokes in my front wheel. But yeah, long story short, next year I think I'm going to do the Unbound XL. I think it's so painful. Yeah, but I mean, like,
that can't do it.
Yeah, you should. You can. You just have to sign up.
Well,
God, it's just grim. But it's. I mean, like, I love the longer distance. In Cannonball 550, I am in mad love with right there in your backyard. in Emporia. It covers a lot of the same stuff that we do in Unbound, and I may do that for the third year again this coming year. But you know, it's different doing stuff like that. You know, you're out there, you're just riding easy, you're having a good time. Unbound XL, I'm gonna have to push. You know, it doesn't sound like much. It's only 10-mile-an-hour average, but yeah, it's 360 miles. Your body gets tired in a day. You know, like how many of you after 200 are like, hey, let's go ride another 150. This will be great.
No,
you know, you don't have that. It's just not there.
Well, working that finish line, I can tell you that nobody comes across doing the 200 saying, send me back out for basically another loop.
I know. That's why I'm like, I don't know why I signed up for these things. So yeah, there is that. And then my buddy and I, we have this secret ploy that I've yet to talk to my wife about, and she's hardly ever on social, so hopefully she doesn't see this. But we were thinking about doing like 1,000 miles of the Transcontinental or Tour Divide Trail, and basically pitching it to our spouses that, hey, we're going to sign up to do Tour Divide next year. But then like a couple weeks later, after they're really angry for a couple weeks, be like, hey, we're only going to do 1,000 miles of it as a respect to our family. Then we'll be back sooner. And then we kind of like all of a sudden are heroes. And yet we're still going to go ride for like 7 to 10 days probably. And then maybe the following year, pick off another 1,000. And then maybe the third year, maybe do Tour Divide. But that actually sounds horrible. It sounds like a horrible idea, no matter how you shake a stick at it. It's a long ways doing 1,000 miles, let alone across the whole, 2,800 miles or whatever it is. But that's kind of the next big thing that I'm looking at. I love this adventure gravel almost more than racing. And it is a spiritual journey that's completely different than racing with your friends and Unbound and whatnot. So just going out there and exploring, I mean, I may just go do 500, 700, whatever miles just by myself next year too, or have a buddy or two come along. It's nice to get away from the noise of everyday life and just kind of live on your bike from gas station food is awesome. I actually am sick of Casey's pizza at this point. I was the biggest fan of Casey's, but anymore I'm not. I'm actually tired of all their food because I've eaten all of it from gas stations. I think I spent $250 on Casey's this year or something like that in 4 days. I mean, just because that's all I had was Casey's throughout my entire Cannonball adventure. So
wow, I'm thinking about that. Like that'd be hard. Like
it pickles, pizza, Coca-Cola, and like sandwiches. I mean, they add up. And then peanut butter bars with chocolate on top that are fantastic. Those are actually really good still. But it's grim. Man. But that's And there'll be some other fun ones in there. But
I'm sure you're gonna have a great 22. And I'm looking forward to having everybody back here for the All Things Gravel Expo and getting to see the new iterations of your packs. And you have a pretty cool YouTube channel, don't you? Did I see? Like I've watched some of your videos because they've been funny.
Yeah, we haven't done as much as we should, but we have our good times on there. Yeah, we have a new one on our. We have a new one on our waterproof transition wrap that we just came out with about 2 months ago, and it's fun. We're making fun of the sweaty dude. You don't want the sweaty dude in your car. And it was an awesome, fun video to make. So we try. We don't do as much as we should, but there's never enough time.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I've got a few housekeeping items that I have to go over real quick if you don't mind, or you can hop off, whichever you want to do. But thank you so much for being here. It was awesome to have you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy Texas as much as you can. Austin's a cool spot. So
we love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Happy Turkey Day to you, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Can't wait to come do Unbound XL, I guess. Maybe. Probably not.
You heard it here, folks. Josh Brigg, Unbound XL.
XL or the 25. That's all I'm gonna say. It's XL. I'm going big, or I'm like going the smallest that I can.
I love it. I love it. You're leaving it all open.
Yeah, I like to be, that way, it's just fair, for everybody.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Josh.
All right. We'll see you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, folks. We do have some announcements that I wanted to make here, and we'll put these in the comment section as well. But Treva wanted me to remind you that deferral registration ends at the end of November. She doesn't want to see you here in Emporia without having checked that. So please, if you think you should have a deferred spot or have gotten those emails and have not gotten back with her, please do so. We'll have her email here in the comment section, so you can definitely check that out. A reminder that the XL lottery is opening December 1st through the 15th. We'll be announcing that field no later than December 20th. And then the lottery for the remaining distances will be January 5th through the 18th. And with that announcement coming January 26th. But don't forget, if you have a deferral that you need to use, your window is open and will be closing at the end of this month. So that's all for today. And we'll see you back here in a few weeks. We'll have Garmin on with us next time. Thanks for joining.